Holding XRP makes you wealthy already. The economy is beginning to recover after one of the worst stock market days in history. So, in today's video, we'll be reviewing a variety of statements made by Donald Trump, the White House, and other nations involved in the ongoing tariff war. Naturally, the cryptocurrency market was also quite volatile. As we can see, the U.S. stock market recently saw a $2 trillion addition at open. Additionally, XRP and other cryptocurrencies have increased significantly, as you can probably already imagine. And we're observing that there are several distinct causes for this. It appears that the majority of nations that were subjected to retaliatory terrorist attacks are now speaking out and engaging in dialogue with Donald J. Trump. This post came from the Truth Social page of Donald J. Trump. "I just had a great call with the South Korean acting president," he says. "We discussed their massive and unsustainable surplus, tariffs, shipbuilding, their joint venture in the Alaska pipeline, their large-scale purchase of U.S. LNG, and payment for the significant military protection we offer South Korea. These billion-dollar military payments were started during my first administration, but for some reason, a slumbering Joe Biden ended the agreement." Naturally, he is basically stating at the conclusion of this that China wants to make a deal badly too, but they are unsure of how to begin. "We are anticipating their call. It will occur. May the United States of America be blessed." Makes fun of China, which has reacted forcefully to the tariffs, and basically says that everyone else in the globe wants to negotiate a deal with the U.S. As a result, the markets are generally feeling positive about this. They believe that we may have overreacted. Naturally, both the stock market and the cryptocurrency market, which includes XRP and Bitcoin, are recovering rather nicely. The official statement is this. I want to go a little further now. On this entire issue with China and how, as the one significant piece of the puzzle that hasn't been solved yet, it might serve as a spark going ahead. We may observe that China reacts to Trump's tariffs with great vigor. Their tariffs are raised. Trump declared that if China does not approach them and engage in dialogue today, he will increase his tariffs by around 50% on April 9. Therefore, we're hoping that China will give the United States of America a call at some point today. Trump will raise tariffs and China will raise tariffs once again if China doesn't comply. And as a result, virtually all trade between the United States and China will cease entirely. Now tell me in the comments how you all feel about that. I'm not sure. You have a choice. Please let me know your true thoughts on that. I'm quite interested. All things considered, though, I believe that this will be a really fascinating period in both Chinese and American history with their business partnerships. In all of history, we have never witnessed anything like this. Now, I'd like to hear your opinions. I believe that many of you believe that the United States will win this. What impact will this have on the U.S. economy, in your opinion? Do you believe that if this occurs, we will witness another significant sell-off? Personally, I was examining some of the specifics of what China would attempt to harm the U.S. and what the U.S. might attempt to harm China in return. Additionally, China does possess a large number of U.S. securities. Therefore, they might aim to undermine the American economy by dumping their bonds. That may happen. However, I also understood that this would have a significant impact on China as well, given their substantial holdings of U.S. dollars. They might attempt to do it gradually, but it would be effectively a suicide attempt to harm the U.S. economy. Perhaps if they occasionally sell small amounts of bonds, the U.S. will eventually be forced to hike interest rates. Additionally, given that Trump has stated that he only wants to cut rates at this time, the U.S. economy is likely to be in a very difficult scenario. As a result of all of this, the Chinese yuan is currently declining to its lowest level in the 2 years prior to the commencement of the majority of their quantitative easing or money printing initiatives in their nation. Thus, this is really intriguing. In other words, it had gained significant strength in the years after the money printing, which it may seem a bit paradoxical, but it makes a lot of sense when you consider how rapidly their economy is expanding and how much productivity they are exporting. And as a result of this, the Chinese yuan is currently depreciating. It remains to be seen if this tendency will continue, but Trump also wants this in order to refinance the U.S. debt, lower interest rates, and of course establish a very strong economic position. He essentially wants to diminish the purchasing power of everyone in the world, including the U.S. dollar. Naturally, China does not want this at the moment because they are dealing with deflation, which is the exact opposite issue facing the U.S. Simply said, there isn't enough market demand for the products they sell. As a result, people must cut prices, which is the exact opposite of inflation. Gains for the day are also extended to 4% by the S&P 500. Crazy, huh? Thus, it began with a big, open set of numbers. In addition to all of that, there will be an extra 4% after that. That is simply insane. It's also evident that there are numerous additional advancements taking place outside of this. Okay, so these are some things that I'm very optimistic about. Because XRP is currently making some very significant changes, I wanted to let you know that the 2x-long daily XRP ETF's listing and registration have been formally approved by NYSE Arca. Isn't this enormous? There will soon be XRP ETFs available. I would like to remind everyone of this. With all of the other things going on, like the trade wars and tariffs, the huge price swings, and all of those headlines, it's easy to forget about that. However, long-term ETFs are still in use, correct? And we have to believe that ETFs will be introduced later this year, which will generate a significant amount of activity. In addition, Ripple recently revealed that it will pay $1.25 billion to acquire Hidden Road, one of the biggest transactions in the cryptocurrency industry. As you can see, prime brokers like Hidden Road, which are primarily run by banks, have established themselves as the go-to middlemen for the biggest hedge funds, market makers, OTC desks, quant traders, and more. Since Ripple has been a client of Hidden Road for many years, we have direct knowledge of their depth of experience, having cleared $3 trillion a year for more than 300 of the world's leading financial institutions. This is absurd. In essence, Ripple just bought this huge, reputable intermediary and payment service, and they will be putting it on the XRP ledger afterwards. What he says is immediately seen here. This capital activity will access XRP and the XRP ledger, which is the foundation for instantaneous, cost-efficient, scalable, and efficient value transfer. Hidden Road will use the XRPL to clear parts of deals and, more importantly, use RLUSD as collateral across all of its primary broker services, including cross-asset cryptocurrency and traditional instrument trading, rather than waiting a full day to settle trades through fiat rails. With this transaction and the support of Ripple's sizable balance sheet, Hidden Road will become the world's largest non-bank prime broker and greatly increase its capacity to service its pipeline. Do any of you see what I see, guys? The XRP army has been requesting precisely this. Why don't we just buy them outright rather than, attempting to collaborate with these various businesses that are directly competing with us? Ripple just paid $1.25 billion to do that, and now they will be able to use the XRP ledger to demonstrate to the world how effective and incredible it truly is, in a huge, huge way. As a result, I'm quite happy about that, and like you guys, I'm very excited about XRP's future. I am aware that these trade headlines and the associated uncertainty can occasionally be a little frightening, but we have seen that the markets do indeed see a significant decline after a transaction. This was to be expected. I have spent the last 2 weeks discussing this on my channel. I apologize for overstating the point, but it is accurate. After that, there is a significant recovery, and for XRP holders and those purchasing those dips, that enormous comeback is astounding. Naturally, they also use a small amount of leverage to increase their profits. Therefore, I want to make sure that everyone has access to all of my trades so that you can profit from such dips and take full advantage of the potential to trade up to 400% every month, when others suffer financial losses. If that sounds good to you, you can sign up for a free membership by clicking the link to my website below and following the simple 3-step instructions. Once you have access to my Telegram and Discord, you may of course copy all of my transactions for free. So gentlemen, after saying that, I do believe that the future is bright. Our secret road partnerships are enormous. We have ETFs for XRP, and I do believe